Shall.
Good morning, everyone. On our AM Minnesota program today, it is indeed a pleasure, as always, to have our Police Chief John Sherwin in studio on this very hazy morning.
Gordy, I was walking here today, and you can see the smoke. It's starting to come here. And I think you'd qualify today as smoking hot, at least our weather.
Yep. It gets your eyes a little watery.
It does. It does. I still see a lot of blue sky, but I think it's supposed to thicken up as the day goes on, I hear.
Yeah.
So.
Air quality alert in effect till 11 tomorrow. Superheat advisory. You guys go on emergency medical calls too, right?
Sure, yeah. I mean, this is a type of weather where, they always say it's harder on people that have respiratory problems or maybe heart conditions that they don't know about. It just taxes the body a little bit more. So I think the experts are right. Stay inside, avoid breathing all that particle and smoke in your lungs. It's pretty bad up north, actually. I know some heard a story that some people were fishing up in Canada on a fly-in, and they had to be evacuated in the middle of the night.
Yep, had to be rescued.
Them out. So hopefully we'll get some rain and rain up north where they need it and put an end to this. So,
yeah, they need lots of rain.
Yeah, for sure.
Not just a wee bit, but I mean lots of rain.
Well, anything that can be done to get rid of the smoke down here, I'm all for. So I'm hoping they get a lot of rain.
It seems like, and I guess you haven't lived here in Faribault that long,
sure.
but you've been in Minnesota for a number of years.
Yeah. It definitely is worse than it used to be. And I don't know. I was actually just talking about this, and it seems like within the last 6 or 7 years, it's every year.
Yes. That's what I was just going to say.
I think I lived, I'm not a lifelong Minnesotan by any means, but I've been here, 26 years now, 25, 26 years, and I don't remember it for the first 20. So I don't know what's going on in Canada. I don't know if it's a government decision for managing wildfires. You never know. Is it climate change? Is it an arsonist? Is it a government decision?
Well, they say
I think the opinions will vary.
Many of these were started by lightning, they're saying.
Sure, yeah. But I remember specifically as a kid growing up, and I remember my father relaying how, he grew up further east in Pennsylvania, but he would always talk about, back when I was a kid, I remember the Canadian forest fire smoke would just be so thick, and it seemed like a foreign concept to me, I'm like, I can't imagine how smoke would get from Canada to Pennsylvania, two places at that point in my life I'd never been to. So, when you're a kid, you remember those stories.
Sure.
And I thought, well, that was back in the old days. They couldn't fight fires like they do now. But clearly something's changed in recent years for us to be getting all this smoke.
Well, we had lightning back then too. So,
correct,
is the lightning more intense now than it used to be?
Right, or is it a management thing? Or is it, I don't know, a buildup of fuel and accumulation in the forests? And I don't know.
But getting back to your assistance on medical calls, you guys must have quite a bit of medical equipment in your vehicles.
Well, we have the basics. And our police officers respond, we're obviously first responders, but we've kind of scaled back, we respond to the life-threatening medical emergencies, the chest pains, heart attack, someone not breathing, those type of calls where police officers can be immediate. We're on the road, we can get there faster. If someone has a urinary tract infection or a broken ankle, there's not a lot a police officer can do. So we generally don't respond to those type of medical calls, especially in a city like Faribault where we have a fire department that will respond, and we have. We're a little bit different than a rural area where if somebody breaks a leg in 15 miles outside the city, they're gonna need some help for a while. So our response is a little bit different than maybe the sheriff's office and how we respond to medicals. But if it's a life-threatening medical emergency, our officers are responding. They're responding lights and siren. We have defibrillators. We have some pressure bandages if someone has a traumatic injury. And we obviously carry Narcan. Like if someone is overdosing, we can administer Narcan to effectively reverse an opioid overdose, in which our officers do a few times every year. So yeah, we do have ability to respond. We're first responders, and obviously everyone's trained in CPR, and some of our officers have EMT certificates or more advanced medical training, but everybody's got at least the basics.
And that's required, I'm assuming.
Yeah, it's part of a training and ongoing training and recertification. We have officers who will get recertified in CPR through fire department who has instructors and other things. So, we take that role seriously. It's obviously we're not the experts in that area, but like I said, as a first responder,
well, the defibrillators you have basically talk you through it, right?
Essentially, yeah. I mean, they're pretty. Obviously we do training with them, but even if you had no training and you were to open the case, it kind of does talk you through what you need to do. And it's pretty basic and simple and safe. There's not a high level of training that's needed. And it's something that does save lives. And we've had, every year we have a couple of saves locally where that shock delivered by a police officer who is first on scene makes a difference. Bystander CPR is so critical when someone goes down. The survival rates increase exponentially when CPR is initiated right away. So I can't overstate how important that is. Like when someone goes down, when it's a witnessed arrest, starting CPR immediately is critical. It's even gotten to the point where the research shows that chest compressions alone are critical. If you don't want to breathe into a stranger's mouth, those chest compressions circulate blood that's still rich in oxygen, and that's enough to keep the brain viable and to keep the patient viable through that process till someone can get there and administer oxygen or a shock to try and get a rhythm back to the heart.
You guys also have oxygen in the vehicles?
No, we don't. Because we have help that's so close by. The fire department obviously does. They also have a machine that actually they can put on someone that does chest compressions. Because if you've ever done CPR, it can be taxing and tiring. It's a lot of effort, and over time, you have to rotate out people to be effective at it. And that's why I guess I'm not sure exactly when this machine was invented, but it basically does compressions for you. It sits on top of a person's chest or on the ground, and it's like for lack of a better words, like a hydraulic device that performs compressions.
I'm assuming you could adjust this machine because if it was a little person, they obviously need a little different pressure than an adult.
Yeah, and I guess I don't know. I've never used one, but I know that there's probably different options, right? Not every human's built the same,
right.
So you factor that in. And obviously child CPR is a little bit different. Infant CPR is way different than a child. It's way different than an adult. So,
have you had to use it?
CPR?
Yeah.
Have I done CPR? Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, many times. Yep. And most of the time, unfortunately, it's been it hasn't been successful, but I can remember the few incidents I've been involved in where someone was shocked and brought back. In fact, I remember one incident where the man was essentially dead, and by the time I left, he had come to, and he really didn't want to go to the hospital.
Even after having been dead.
Yeah. I mean, he was no pulse, not breathing. His girlfriend or wife had been doing CPR prior to law enforcement arriving, and we started CPR and administered a shock. And then I remember the fire department got there. This was in Rochester. Fire department got there, and then the ambulance. And by the time the ambulance was there and he started to, and of course they can administer some drugs to help the heart get going. And he came to, and I remember he threw up, and he kind of had this look on his face like, what just happened? And I'm fine. I don't want to go. And it was like, no, you have to go to the hospital. You were essentially dead 10 minutes ago. So, so you remember that, right?
Do you ever get a follow-up on that? I mean, did you ever find out what happened?
It was a gentleman that had a heart attack.
No, but I mean, do you get information on, whether he survived or died 2 days later?
I know he survived, yes. I know. I remember he was from Illinois, but I don't remember much else about it. This was over 20 years ago. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But
you had to be curious, though.
Yeah. I mean, but it's just part of...
Has to feel good to save somebody,
it felt
though.
Great. It was great to finally have someone that, to see the result, because unfortunately... most of the time it's not successful, or the person has been down too long. You still make the effort, but it's rewarding to see those things when they happen. They stick with you. I mean, I remember it very clearly. One
of the good parts of your job.
For sure.
Being able to save somebody's life. Well, we're going to get a market update here, courtesy of your KDHL Agri Boosters, and then we'll visit more with our Police Chief John Sherwin on our AM Minnesota program today. Let's turn it over to the good folks at Linder.
Good morning. It's time for the market update here on the Linder Farm Network on this Thursday morning. Corn futures a little lower, soybeans near unchanged, and joining us, Jim Emter, Van Awning Company, Alexandria. Jim, what are you watching today with these markets?
Well, Linda, I think the price counts, number one, are so important right now. The 50% retracement in corn that we've been kind of promoting here all along, 466. The 62% retracement, 475. Well, guess what the high was last night? 474 and a quarter. Guess where we are right now? 465 and 3/4. So we've got some reversal characteristics. The corn market struggling where it should struggle. That doesn't mean it has to be over, but there's usually a strong tendency that after this type of recovery with this size of crop potential, pending we get some rain here in the next 10 days, we start to see some signs of scattered precipitation next week. But again, and a moderation of temperature, those are all good things to help this corn crop along. But we do need some relief in the form of rain here as we finish this month out of July. And that's going to be the wild card as to, can we wake back up and eventually get above these retracement counts and turn them into extensions, or are we just going to stall here, break back down, and find harvest lows similar to what we've already tested between $4.25 to $4? So, we'll see how that pans out, but I do think this is a risk management area for producers. I could argue the same thing in beans. The difference in beans is a wild card stem off of China demand and August weather. If we get good weather and China's not in here with aggression, we could see this market pull back into the 10s. If China's in here with aggression and we have a dry August, Linda, we could be talking beans $13 to $14. So there's a lot that can happen in soybeans yet ahead. So strap in, hang on. But what I will say about soybeans at $12, we're at a good area here near contract highs to be conducting some risk management measures. So again, look at your whole card, manage your risks, and just realize there's a lot of moving parts to these markets that can cause plenty of movement yet ahead.
Into livestock. Today, it's a lower day for cattle and feeder cattle, a little higher on the lean hogs. What are you following with those markets, Jim?
It is. Feeder cattle, live cattle, we're into third price counts, Linda. We're near bottom bun, 1.2 standard deviation from linear regression. This is where support should happen here over the next few dollars. If not, this is a unique market that's got another $10 down then, Linda, if we don't hold up here pretty quick. So again, watch that cattle, watch the whole card there, but it's a washout type market, and we're getting third price counts here at this point. As for the hog market, we've activated some upside. We'll see what we can do with it, but we're over 100. Now we got to go do something with it, and we're struggling a little bit this morning up front.
Thank you, Jim. Jim Emter, Van Awning Company, Alexandria. And Chicago Board of Trade, September corn, 443.5 down 4. December 465 and 3/4 down 3 3/4. August beans 11.99 and a half down 2 3/4. And November 12 and a half a cent down 1 1/4. August soybean meal up 3.50. August soybean oil down 40. September Chicago wheat up 3. Minneapolis September up 2 1/2. August live cattle down 2.50. October down $2. August feeder cattle down 3.25. August lean hogs down 7. October up 55. The Dow up 60. This is a Linder Farm Network.
If you can spend just one day this summer learning new ways to make your farm more profitable, be sure to come to the Ag PhD Field Day. I'm Darren Hefty. Each year, my brother Brian and I invite farmers from across the country and around the world to help them find more ways to improve their operations, and we'd love to have you visit. Attend this free event Thursday, July 30th, right here on our farm near Baltic, South Dakota. This year's field day will be bigger and better than ever with more equipment, more demonstrations, a whole host of great speakers, and lots of research plots and trials where we push crops to their limits. We'll also have great family entertainment, including a kids area and music, as well as fantastic food and drinks available throughout the day. And the best part is everything is free. Just one day can make all the difference for your farm. It's the Ag PhD Field Day, Thursday, July 30th.
And that's our update on the LFN.
AM Minnesota on the Mighty 920 KDHL.
Once again, AM Minnesota, we've got our police chief. The conversations we have off air are usually even better than the ones on air, but
Yeah, a little bit.
usually we can't talk about the stuff we talk about off air on air. We were just talking about the video of the bison that attacked that man in Yellowstone. Man, that was incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
65-year-old guy, and he ran away from it for quite a while before he finally got
He did a good job, I thought, and I wasn't sure.
weaving with the trees
Yeah,
and
and
stuff.
I think his grandson, he was trying to get his grandson out of there. And I've got a friend that lives in the Black Hills, and I sent him that video, and his response was pretty typical. Don't pet the hairy cow.
Yeah, no kidding.
Which I guess he's correct, yeah.
I think I told you, I was right in the middle of telling you just before we came back that I was out there. I had never been to the park out there in Rapid City.
Yeah. Oh, like,
where the presidents are.
oh, Mount Rushmore.
Mount Rushmore,
Yeah.
yes. I had never been there.
Okay.
I've been to Europe a couple times, 3 times. I've been to Africa a couple times. I've never been to Mount Rushmore. All my family had been there except me.
Well, you got to go out and do the Badlands.
So I did.
And Wall Drug. And
my best friend, and we've got a friend that lives out there, and so we went out there, and we came. Our friend who lives there obviously knows the area. We got in his pickup, and he took us through the Badlands, and we went through some back road or something where you weave in and out, and we came around a corner, and there's this massive bison coming down the road, and I mean, it's running, it's hauling,
yeah.
it's booking.
Yep.
And it just missed our pickup.
Mm-hmm.
We could have reached out and pet the thing.
Yeah. I've seen that there. I've done the the family vacation going out to Custer State Park and where the bison just roam, and they don't. The road is theirs. They don't. You
can
have
say
to
that
be
again.
Careful, and there's bison delays when you're trying to drive through the state park. But
in this road that we ended up on, there were a number of little ones and stuff.
Sure.
Kind of migrating through
like
the
a herd.
area.
Yeah.
So I'm sure all these humans are kind of peeing off this big bison. That's why he came after down the road like
Yeah.
And
the bison's just going to do bison thing. You
well,
watch that video, he was rolling in the dust. And
you're invading his world, not the other way around.
Absolutely, yeah. But it's a perfect example that accidents happen sometimes, right? And got to be cautious, I guess.
Got to be really careful. Oh, that was kind of scary.
Yeah.
That's as close as I ever want to be to one.
Yeah, I like to look at large animals from a distance, so...
We did some of that when I was in Africa, hippos and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to be near one of those either.
No, they say that the most deadly animal in Africa is not the lion, it's the hippo. Kills more people than...
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Somebody fact check me, but I'm pretty sure that's correct.
I'll be darned. I did not know that. Now, it's pretty rare to even where we went, to Safari Park there, it was hard to see lions.
Sure. Yeah.
We did see some, but
Yeah.
they're just laying in the grass and sunning
I
themselves.
think I'll just go to Detroit, try to see the Lions if that's
Oh, boy.
that's a bad one.
All right, on that one, we'll. I was
Maybe
asked
talk
to
about
ask you,
police
Chief, and
matters, huh?
I'm asking you this because
Sure.
I had a listener ask me to ask you, because you've said this many times on the airwaves, and they point out that ICE doesn't have body cameras.
Sure.
And I think they're saying this because they know that you're a big fan of them on this program. You said more than once
Yeah.
that the video from these has been amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I think what body cameras do is they show what actually happens, and the vast majority of the time, it's not the anti-police narrative that you know for a while there we heard so much about. Like, there's a reality to policing, and it's not always pretty, and it's not the police that are the ones that aren't pretty. It's the public. It's the officers that are doing what they can to mitigate that. So you hear about another ICE shooting in Maine. I think this one was in Maine where the officers weren't wearing body cameras. And I'm just, in a way, I'm dumbfounded at this day and age that we have a law enforcement agency, let alone a federal law enforcement agency that supposedly has resources beyond those of local agencies, and you have officers taking enforcement action that aren't wearing body cameras. It kind of blows my mind.
Well, wouldn't you want to, as an officer?
I
wear it?
would, but then again, I don't work for the federal government. You know, that's the thing that people don't realize is that and maybe I've said this on the show before, but I've told this to others. Like, people talk about government and they talk about transparency. I will argue with anyone that the most transparent form of government is local law enforcement, because everything we do is documented. So many rules are created in the legislature that dictate what we must report, how many audits that we must have on things, our policies that are mandated by the state. No other form of government does that. Like, the politicians in St. Paul aren't wearing body cameras. Other elements of government, in the tax assessor's office or they're not wearing body cameras. So I don't know. I just don't understand in this day and age why federal law enforcement has not rolled this out. Up until 10 years ago, the FBI made it a practice and a policy not to record interviews. Only handwritten notes could have been used by the FBI. That tells you something, right? Why is the federal government, why is federal law enforcement so resistant to change? And I don't know. But it kind of...
So you're saying this is before the current administration?
Oh,
then?
yeah, way before. Okay. I mean, traditionally, federal law enforcement has been it's the least transparent form of law enforcement in the country. And they're slow to change and evolve. And I don't quite understand why. Well, actually, I do. Because at the local level, there's accountability. At the county level, there's accountability. At the state level, there's more accountability. But when you get higher up in government, there's less accountability, broader at a federal level. You have things like the FOIA, Freedom of Information Act, where you allegedly can request any type of data from the federal government.
But if they don't have it.
Well, no, they have it, but it takes years to fulfill those requests. And I think about this before, like all the Kennedy assassination and the UFO files and all those FOIA requests that had been put out. And, 8 news agencies had done stories where they'd receive something 6 years later after making the request. That's not the case in Minnesota. We've got the Minnesota Data Practices law that requires us to release information if requested.
How long do you have to keep the videos of your body cam?
It depends on what type of... there are retention rules that are in place locally, and it depends on what type of...
Call it is.
If it's but there are retention schedules for different data records, whether it's city council agendas or police reports, and there are different retention schedules based on the type of police report. If it's a death investigation, it's a permanent file. If it's an incidental contact that we record, it can be gone within 60 days. So there are different schedules depending on the type of classification, but it's highly regulated locally, and it gets back to my point about local law enforcement being the most transparent form of government there is. And so when I hear about these shootings and things at the federal level, it's concerning.
Anything you want to get the word out on before I let you go?
Sometimes the half an hour in here just goes by like
it does. It flies.
I'm looking at my watch.
I get people
all the
time. I get people go, "How am I going to fill that much time?" I said, "Believe me, it's a piece of cake."
Yeah, you end up talking about bison. So yeah, no, we're the summer is rapidly progressing. I can't believe I'm looking at your calendar behind you.
I know, almost over. We're making our football schedule for high school, for God's sakes.
Yeah, and I just told you I got the email that said the Gopher single game tickets are now on sale for football. So it's kind of hard to believe, but here we are. The days, I have noticed the mornings are getting a little darker when I get up at 5 a.m. So we're here, but we've had a good summer so far, safety-wise in Faribault. We haven't had any real major incidents of note. Obviously, we have more calls for service this time of year, just more people out and about. The 4th of July went pretty smoothly. Obviously, we had people shooting fireworks. I don't know about what happened in your neighborhood, but I heard fireworks and then it started raining.
My front door got egged.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, somebody threw an egg at my front door. It was
free breakfast.
4th of July weekend.
You have to look at a negative as a positive. Someone was trying to give you a free. Have you seen the price of eggs? So maybe that's why you only got one instead of a dozen.
It was one, but it was plenty to clean up that mess.
No, we had a good 4th of July as a whole, I think. No major incidents. No one lost any fingers or toes that I heard about. So
I did hear a lot of fireworks in my neighborhood.
We did, and obviously we have those complaints, and we responded as we could. But
I felt worse for my neighbors with dogs. You know, when they pop off. Because a dog's hearing is a lot better than ours.
That's true. And some dogs take that really seriously. But, we had the fireworks. I heard them start, and then it rained. And I went to bed, and then I heard them start again because I was asleep. So, but that's a tough one. We obviously can't be everywhere at every place to limit it.
Well, I realize it's that time of year. I didn't have it. It's not a big deal to me. But like I said, neighbors with dogs.
Some people get really upset with us that we're not doing our best to prevent people from shooting fireworks. But really, there's 5 or 6 officers on the street.
I think there was a kid in the metro area that did lose his hand or something.
I heard someone lost their life in the metro after a fireworks injury. So
that might have been the one I was thinking of.
Yeah.
He was on the roof of something or other, and it was in his hand, and his chest and face got.
Yep. And obviously that can do a lot of damage and trauma. It's unfortunate, but fortunately, locally, we didn't have any issues that I knew about. In recent years, that's not the case. We've had some people that have lost some fingers and other things. So we obviously want people to be safe. Have fun, but be safe.
No, I remember some eye injuries reported locally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but we're through all that. And
that's why I try to leave it to the professionals, John.
Through all that, and the fair week next week. Hard to believe. So.
Yeah. And you guys will be, I'm sure, supplementing the sheriff's office with officers.
Yeah, we let them handle the security on the fairgrounds, but we're obviously in the area, and our officers, make it a point to swing through because, everybody likes to grab some food. And
your explorers go down there?
We'll have explorers that'll be around, and then officers that are on duty will just be walking through. But the sheriff's office, that's their big Super Bowl every year.
They might want to swing by and get some fair food.
For sure.
Right?
For sure.
Nothing wrong with that.
No.
Well, hopefully the food stand gives it to them for free when they see the uniform.
Well, we don't.
No, I know
We
you
don't need any.
You don't ask for it or anything. I understand that. That concludes today's edition of A Minnesota.
Queen Carvania stood haloed by the morning sun. An army hung on her every word.
My champions, I have sold my chariot on Carvana. 'Twas a lovely SUV, an inexplicably queenly offer. They're even coming to the castle to collect it. Tonight, we feast! An offer you can feast on. Sell your car today on Carvana. Pickup fees may apply.